Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter took amazing detailed maps of pretty much the whole surface of Mars. And there are some anomalous pictures. It's very much worth humanity's while.
For decades, Mars was seen as a barren, lifeless wasteland, a dusty red rock orbiting the sun with little more than sandstorms and craters to offer. But now, that long-standing image has been cracked open. Adding fuel to the fire, images captured by NASA's rovers revealed strange anomalies. So, was Mars once home to an intelligent civilization, long lost but leaving behind mysterious evidence scattered across the planet's desolate terrain? We can answer this once we go through 15 shocking Mars mysteries NASA doesn't want you to see. Let's get started. Number 15. The Dome on Mars. On Sol 4073 of its mission, NASA's Opportunity rover captured an image showing a dome-like semi-spherical object protruding from a hill on the Martian surface. Unlike the surrounding terrain, characterized by fragmented rocks, dust, and erosion patterns, this particular feature exhibits a notably smooth curvature and a symmetrical shape that makes it stand out sharply from its environment. The dome appears to rise from the slope with a consistent arc, which some argue resembles human-made structures found on Earth, such as ancient domed temples or observatories. Ufologists consider this dome one of the most compelling pieces of visual evidence suggesting that Mars may have once hosted intelligent life. They argue that the object's shape is inconsistent with known geological processes common to Mars, such as wind erosion or volcanic activity, which rarely produce such symmetrical, enclosed features. NASA has not officially commented on the object beyond the raw image release, offering no interpretive analysis to accompany the photo. However, planetary geologists generally suggest that features like this can occur through natural geological processes, such as the weathering of volcanic domes or erosion patterns shaped by ancient water flow and wind. No further study or mission has been dedicated to examining the structure directly. Thus, while the dome remains unexplained in detail, it continues to serve as a focal point in the debate over the possibility of past artificial constructs on the Martian surface. Shocking, right? Well, there's a lot more from where that came. Number 14. Are we all Martians? Panspermia is a theory that life, or at least the basic building blocks of life, can travel between planets via celestial bodies, like meteorites. So, in theory, life on Earth could have originated on Mars. Some of the strongest circumstantial evidence supporting this theory came from a Martian meteorite known as ALH8 4001, discovered in Antarctica in 1984. Analysis of this meteorite in the 1990s revealed microscopic structures and chemical compounds, such as magnetite crystals and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, that some scientists interpreted as potential biosignatures. The rock is believed to have originated from Mars approximately 4 billion years ago, and was likely ejected from the Martian surface during a massive impact event. It eventually landed on Earth roughly 13,000 years ago. Researchers, including NASA scientists, noted that the meteorite contained carbonate globules with features that resemble fossilized microbial life. Though these interpretations sparked global headlines and even a NASA press conference in 1996, the findings remain highly controversial. Despite the skepticism, the presence of Martian meteorites on Earth is well documented. More than 300 confirmed Martian meteorites have been found, and they offer valuable insights into Mars's geology and possibly its ancient climate. While definitive proof is still lacking, the idea that life on Earth could have originated on Mars continues to influence astrobiology. Number 13. Statue-like object among the Martian rocks. A photograph taken by NASA's Curiosity rover sparked widespread attention when observers noticed what appeared to be a statue-like object among the Martian rocks. The image in question, captured by the rover's mast cam and available in NASA's raw image archive, shows a rock formation that some claim bears a striking resemblance to a carved human head. Ufologists and independent researchers point to visible features in the rock such as two eye-like depressions, a defined nose ridge, a mouth, and even a textured area beneath the face that they argue resembles the iconic cone-shaped beard found in ancient Mesopotamian statuary, particularly that of the Sumerian civilization. Skeptics, however, firmly attribute the object to pareidolia, a psychological phenomenon where the human brain perceives familiar patterns, especially faces, in random stimuli. From this perspective, the statue is simply a rock formation shaped over time by natural erosion, lighting, and camera angles. Experts in planetary geology assert that wind, sand, and thermal stress regularly produce oddly shaped rocks across Mars's surface. NASA has not issued a formal explanation regarding this specific image. No robotic arm or instrument from the Curiosity rover was used to investigate the object further. The Sumerian-like statue is an intriguing visual anomaly, interpreted by some as coincidence, and by others as possible evidence of a forgotten Martian past. Number 12. Did Mars ever host life? While there is currently no confirmed evidence of life on Mars today, a growing body of scientific data suggests that the planet's ancient past may have been far more hospitable than it is now. Geological and climate analyses indicate that billions of years ago, Mars possessed a much thicker atmosphere, enabling the presence of liquid water on its surface. Features such as dried-up riverbeds, deltas, lake basins, and mineral deposits that only form in the presence of water suggest that Mars once supported a vast hydrological network, including oceans, rivers, and lakes. Moreover, evidence points to a period of intense volcanic activity on Mars, which could have contributed to a warmer climate and created energy-rich environments conducive to life. These factors align with the conditions that, on Earth, are considered critical for the emergence and sustenance of life. However, despite these favorable conditions in the Martian past, scientists have not yet found direct signs of life, such as microbial fossils or biosignatures. NASA's ongoing Mars missions, particularly the Perseverance rover, are focused on resolving this question. Perseverance is tasked with collecting rock and soil samples from Jezero Crater, an ancient lakebed believed to be one of the most promising locations to find preserved signs of ancient life. These samples will be returned to Earth in the 2030s. Number 11. Martian Hieroglyphs. Among the various anomalies identified by independent researchers in NASA's Mars rover imagery, one recurring subject is the appearance of linear markings or carvings on rocks that some interpret as resembling hieroglyphic or symbolic inscriptions. These alleged Martian hieroglyphics have been spotted in several high-resolution photographs captured by the Curiosity rover's mast cam, particularly in the Gale Crater region. Ufologists argue that these formations bear similarities to ancient inscriptions found on Earth, particularly those associated with early civilizations such as the Egyptians, Sumerians, or even early pre-Columbian cultures. They suggest that if Mars once supported intelligent life, it is plausible that such beings developed methods of record-keeping or communication through symbols, possibly preserved in rock faces or monument-like structures. On the other hand, the scientific community largely dismisses these claims, attributing the markings to natural geological processes. Hang tight for this next one. Number 10. The differences between Mars's northern and southern hemispheres. Unlike Earth, where the northern and southern hemispheres are relatively symmetrical in terms of elevation and geological activity, Mars presents a planet with two vastly different faces. The northern hemisphere of Mars is characterized by vast, low-lying plains, known as the northern lowlands. These regions are relatively smooth and sparsely cratered, suggesting that they are younger and have undergone more recent resurfacing events, possibly from ancient floods or lava flows. This terrain also sits at a lower elevation compared to the rest of the planet, with some areas lying several kilometers below Mars's average surface level. These features indicate a possible history of large-scale tectonic or volcanic processes, or even the presence of an ancient ocean. In contrast, the southern hemisphere is known as the Southern Highlands. This region is heavily cratered and more elevated, indicating it is significantly older, dating back more than 4 billion years to the Noachian era. The dense cratering implies that this region has remained largely unchanged by geologic resurfacing processes. Number 9. The Martian Stonehenge. A photograph captured by NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has drawn attention to what appears to be a circular arrangement of rocks atop a raised mound. This unusual formation has since been nicknamed Marshenge. The formation bears a resemblance to Stonehenge in Wiltshire, England, due to its apparent symmetry, defined ring shape, and the presence of what looks like a shallow surrounding ditch. The image, part of a broader dataset taken by the High-Resolution Imaging Science Experiment camera, shows the formation standing in isolation within a relatively flat and geologically uneventful region of the Martian surface. Ufologists and anomaly researchers interpret Marshenge as evidence of intentional construction, citing its circular alignment and the mound's prominence in the landscape. Skeptical scientists contend that circular rock patterns can occur through natural processes such as freeze-thaw cycles, sediment contraction, and erosion, phenomena observed both on Earth and Mars. Number 8. Can we live on Mars? The question of whether humans can live on Mars is now a topic of serious scientific and engineering research. Mars presents a challenging environment. Its thin atmosphere is composed of over 95% carbon dioxide. Surface temperatures average around -60 degrees Celsius, and radiation from space is far more intense than on Earth due to the planet's lack of a global magnetic field. However, despite these harsh conditions, efforts are actively underway to assess and prepare for possible human habitation. SpaceX, under the leadership of Elon Musk, has made Mars colonization a central goal. Musk has proposed long-term plans to establish a self-sustaining city on Mars by the end of this century, with initial crewed missions possibly launching within the next 2 decades. Simulated Mars habitats on Earth have offered promising data. Projects like Hawaii Space Exploration Analog and Simulation and the Mars Society's Mars Desert Research Station have replicated Martian isolation and environmental conditions to test human endurance, psychology, and sustainability strategies. Some of these experiments have lasted up to 1 year, providing critical insight into group dynamics, resource management, and life support systems. Number 7. The second statue discovery. In another widely discussed image taken by NASA's Curiosity rover, catalogued under PIA 7931 and publicly accessible through NASA's image repository, we can witness a panoramic view of the Martian terrain. In the lower right quadrant of the frame, an unusual rock formation has drawn attention due to its apparent facial features, including a defined eye socket, a symmetrical nose structure, and what some interpret as the outline of a mouth and chin. Ufologists argue that the object's anthropomorphic precision sets it apart from surrounding geological features. According to their analysis, the symmetry of the face, combined with its proportionality and isolated position, makes it highly unlikely to have formed through natural erosion or sedimentary processes. Skeptics, however, maintain that the image is another example of pareidolia, a cognitive tendency that causes the human brain to recognize faces and familiar patterns in random or ambiguous stimuli. Planetary geologists point out that Martian rock formations frequently develop unusual shapes due to wind erosion, thermal fracturing, and other environmental factors unique to the planet's thin atmosphere and dry conditions. Number 6. Martian Tadpole. The so-called Martian Tadpole is a geological formation on Mars that gained attention after being captured by NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The image shows a striking formation that resembles a tadpole or sperm cell, featuring a rounded crater-like head with an elongated tail stretching outward across the Martian surface. This feature is located in a region shaped by ancient water-related activity, providing strong evidence of past hydrological processes. The circular crater, which forms the head of the tadpole, was likely created by an impact. Over time, flowing water, possibly from melting ice or ancient streams, eroded the terrain behind it, carving out the tail-like extension. The tail's orientation and curvature provide clues about the direction and volume of the water that once moved through the region. Terrain height data further supports the interpretation that water flowed outward from the crater, consistent with patterns seen in terrestrial analogues on Earth. Number 5. The alien or creature figure. One of the more sensational claims emerging from Mars imagery involves a photograph taken by NASA's Curiosity rover that allegedly shows a creature-like figure on a Martian cliffside. The image, part of a series captured during the rover's exploration of Gale Crater, shows an object positioned against a vertical rock face. The object in question is distinctly darker than its surroundings and appears to have an oval-shaped central body with several protrusions or appendages extending outward, features that some observers have described as tentacle-like. Ufologists and enthusiasts of extraterrestrial life point to this image as potential evidence of a living organism, or at least the remnants of one. According to their interpretation, the structure appears to be clinging to the rock face or emerging from a crevice, possibly suggesting mobility or some form of biological adaptation. These claims have fueled speculation about the possibility of extant Martian life, particularly subsurface organisms that may survive in protected environments beneath the harsh surface conditions. Some have proposed that the structure could be similar to extremophiles on Earth, which are organisms capable of surviving in extreme heat, cold, radiation, or desiccation. Mainstream scientists, however, lean toward a geological explanation. The tentacle-like features are likely fractured rock outcroppings shaped by erosion, shadow effects, and angle of capture. Lighting, camera resolution, and perspective all play significant roles in how such formations appear in photographs. Number 4. Martian Fish. The Martian Fish refers to a peculiar rock formation spotted on Mars that resembles the shape of a fish, generating considerable interest and speculation within both the scientific and UFO enthusiast communities. The image was captured by NASA's Curiosity rover during one of its routine photographic surveys of the Martian surface. The rock appears to have a tapered body, a defined head, and what some interpret as a tail, features that collectively give it a fish-like appearance. The fish-like shape is attributed to a combination of natural erosion, sediment deposition, and lighting conditions at the time the photo was taken. Shadows and contours enhance the illusion of a sculpted, aquatic form. NASA has stated that while Mars had water in the past, it is highly unlikely that it ever supported complex life forms such as fish. Number 3. The pyramid structure on Mars. In 2015, as the Mars rover navigated through Gale Crater, it captured the image of a four-sided object with striking triangular symmetry and sharp angular lines. The structure stands out against the surrounding terrain due to its pronounced geometry and isolated positioning. Its apparent proportions have drawn comparisons to pyramids found on Earth, particularly those in Egypt and Mesoamerica. Ufologists argue that the angles of the object, particularly the straight edges and pointed apex, are unlikely to be the product of natural erosion alone. The formation's symmetry, height relative to its base, and solitary presence in the field of view are interpreted as indicators of intelligent design. Critics, however, strongly caution against overinterpretation. Geologists assert that the Martian environment is capable of producing angular rock formations through processes such as thermal fracturing, wind erosion, and mechanical weathering. The lack of additional architectural features or associated structures nearby further weakens the argument for artificiality. Furthermore, the lighting angle likely enhanced the illusion of symmetry and depth, contributing to the impression of a man-made shape. Number 2. The mysterious white light. In April 2014, NASA's Curiosity rover captured a puzzling image showing a bright white light or beam on the Martian horizon. The photograph, taken on Sol 589, quickly sparked widespread speculation and interest among scientists, media outlets, and the public. The light appeared to be a vertical streak emanating from the surface or just above it, distinctly visible in only one of the rover's navigation camera images. This anomaly led to a range of theories about its origin. NASA scientists provided a measured response. According to a spokesperson, one plausible explanation is that the light could be the result of sunlight glinting off a reflective Martian rock surface. Mars has many surfaces with varying reflective properties, and certain angles between the Sun, the rover, and the terrain can occasionally produce optical phenomena. The Sun was reportedly in the same relative position, west-northwest and low in the sky. Each day the images were captured, supporting the glare theory. Another technical explanation involves cosmic rays, which are high-energy particles from space that sometimes strike the camera sensors and cause brief flashes or distortions. This is not uncommon in space photography and has been observed in past missions. However, what made this particular light unusual is its shape and clarity, which some claim looks like a directed beam. Interesting, right? Well, we're not done with the list just yet. Number 1. Martian Dust Devil. In 2016, NASA's Opportunity rover captured a striking image of a Martian dust devil, an atmospheric phenomenon that closely resembles those observed on Earth. The photograph shows a vertical column of swirling dust rising in the distance against the backdrop of the barren Martian terrain. While visually dramatic, this feature is scientifically classified as a dust devil, which is a relatively small, short-lived whirlwind caused by rising warm air that begins to rotate. Dust devils on Mars are formed similarly to their Earth counterparts. As sunlight heats the Martian surface, warm air near the ground rises quickly through cooler air above, and under the right wind conditions, this rising air can begin to spin, forming a vortex. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.